Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the channel. Now, Frank Herbert once said that, Frank Herbert is an American author, and in one of his works that's outstanding is that he ridiculed the power structures. And in his fictional works, there's a quote that I came across, and I thought that it's important for me to share with you even before watching the video. And in this quote, he said that all government suffer a recurring problem. Power attracts pathological personality. It is not that power corrupts, but that it is magnetic to the corruptible. And so this is so much important. And this lecture today by Yanis Varoufakis, I think that it's important for us to understand this, because you get to realize that there are indicators that usually shows a falling empire, and the path is usually the same. And the biggest question that Varis is trying to ask is, what the hell happened to Europe? This applies to the United States. The following are the indicators that an economy or an empire is falling. First, higher property taxes, inflation and lower quality life, higher stock market valuation, less real economic growth, euthanasia for the poor, mass immigration, replacement, greater public and private debt, bureaucratic gaslighting, privatization, or asset stripping. And why? Who are these people that are causing all these indicators? First, an idea called neoliberalism. 2, techno-feudalism. 3, world government. 4, population replacement. And 5th, bureaucratic incompetence. Brothers and sisters, I invite you to watch this video. It is really, really important, and I hope we are all going to learn from the professor is going to share his ideas. And I think it's really, really important for us to understand what the hell happened to Europe. And Yanis Varoufakis is going to help us understand this. So let's watch the video. I'll be back. For those watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. And if you wish to buy me a coffee, you can buy me a coffee through my Cash App, or you can send me super thanks. I'll be really, really grateful. That being said, let's get into the video. I'll be back.
Friends, fellow travelers, comrades, we once had a dream of what Europe could have been. A Europe of shared prosperity, of dignity, of freedom, a Europe of peace with hope. Alas, that dream is now dead. It's gone, it's lost, it's kaput, it's finished. Why? What the hell happened to Europe? Well, we know what happened to Europe. We know why politicians from all over are descending upon this splendid city as we speak, like manic drones determined to blow up, to bomb to smithereens what is left of the dream of Europe. We know what happened in Europe. On the 9th of February 2016, we were at the Volksbühne Theater in Berlin. And that was the day, the night, when DiEM25 was born. And in that meeting, we said, in no uncertain terms, Europe will either democratize or it will disintegrate. In the last 9 years, Europe refused to democratize, and therefore today it is disintegrating. It is degenerating into a totalitarian war union. You can see that, you can smell it. This is what happens when you have austerity for the many and money printing as if there's no tomorrow for the very few. Mixed with this austerity, you have mind-numbing surges of inequality. Every time capitalism stagnates and inequality surges, while the official left joins the center in a futile attempt to bail out the bankrupt liberal establishment, do you know what is around the corner every time that happens? Fascism and war. Just like in the 1930s, two varieties of totalitarianism began to tussle for power. The radicalized neo-fascist right promises to make us great again, not through ending austerity or exploitation, but through a moral reckoning, a kind of cultural cleansing that targets the impure foreign bodies in the pure body of the nation, or at least the Christian, white, patriarchal Europe. Foreigners, trans people, lesbians, Muslims and Jews, particularly those who don't support genocide, are proclaimed the enemy within. On the other side, you have the radicalized totalitarian centrists who succeeded in retaining their relevance as the only bulwark against the fascists. How do they do that? With policies that deepen the crisis that fuels fascism, and thus their own claim to be the only bulwark against fascism. This is the definition of a perfect vicious cycle that fuels totalitarianism. Like Tweedledum and Tweedledee, the radicalized totalitarian centrists and the radicalized neo-fascists, they are sucking the air out of democracy, making totalitarianism great again. Every variety of it. Lest we forget, we did not have to wait for fascists to win government before our Greek referendum of July 2015 was banned because they didn't like the outcome. We didn't have to wait for the fascists to win government before they fired Melanie Schwarzer from her job at the German civil service for failing to support genocide. We didn't have to wait for the fascists to win government before they banned me from entering Germany, even via Zoom. We didn't have to wait for the fascists to win government before the Romanian presidential elections were cancelled simply because the radicalized totalitarian centrists didn't like the outcome. The only substantive difference between the 1930s and our times today, do you know what it is? Tweedledum, that is the radicalized totalitarian centrists, and Tweedledee, the radicalized neo-fascist parties, they have traded places when it comes to war. Somehow, confusingly, Tweedledum, the radicalized totalitarian centrists, who are weaponizing military Keynesianism, are crying out for more war, for an endless war. And the Tweedledee part of the equation, the radicalized neo-fascists, they are advocating for peace. Well, a very steely, very ruthless, very chilling form of peace. Yes, in 2015, 2016, we foretold all that at the Volksbühne Theater, but that didn't stop us from failing to stop it. A cruel reminder that being right is not everything. Why did we fail? Why did we miss the popular wave, which 10 years ago was on our side of politics? And why, therefore, did we allow the fascists to exploit their revived thirst for radicalism? Yes, it is true, we were ruthlessly squeezed between Tweedledum, the radicalized totalitarian centrists, and Tweedledee, the radicalized neo-fascist right. But we have to confess that we made some unforced errors ourselves. We invested, and this is a personal criticism too, too much on green Keynesianism, forgetting the timeless lesson that even when the bourgeoisie, the ruling class, adopts Keynesianism as a last resort to save themselves, the ruling class will always stop it, withdraw from it the moment their bottom line improves, well before the many taste any of the fruits of Keynesianism, green or not so green. Our Green New Deal was, after all, never adopted, except in name. They even dropped the new. They just made it a Green Deal. Totally vacuous program, which now, of course, is dead in the water. So our Green New Deal contributed in the mind of people out there who are not particularly political. Every time they hear the word green, they immediately think, you know what they translate it to? It's like the Iraqis in Baghdad, when they hear the word democracy with an American accent, they hide under the table because they know they will be bombed. The people of Europe, the stragglers of Europe, when they hear the word green policy, they think, oh my God, they will tax me again. Higher cost of living for me that had to shoulder the banking crisis, the bailouts. We also proved unable to liberate people from exploitation. What we gave them as DiEM25 was the freedom to choose their pronouns on our website, which would have been fine if it wasn't so pathetically inadequate in the grander scheme of things. We ended up, instead of organizing auto workers, the precariat, nurses, we organized signifiers, appearing to many people, to the vast majority, as an intellectual vanguard that is really enjoying the self-styled subversive thrills from an imagined revolution with all the comforts and trappings of a bourgeois soirée. And last but not least, we thought we could mobilize and radicalize the existing left, center-left, green parties, only to discover 2 or 3 years later that they didn't care. They were not interested. What must we do now? Let's begin by acknowledging that we are at the end of a 40-year-long cycle of a vicious class war waged against working people. And we are at the beginning of another cycle, this time of military Keynesianism, of weaponized xenophobia, of totalitarianism within, and techno-feudalism all around us. So, it's time to be bold, time to be clear on 7 crucial issues that must become 7 crucial campaigns. On security and peace, or peace with security, and how to end the carnage on the killing fields of Ukraine, where lives are being devoured by a ruthless mechanical precision. Let us reject outright Donald Trump's predatory seizure of Ukraine's natural resources. Let us campaign to get the whole of Europe, not just one country or another, out of NATO immediately. There is no point in NATO. It has been proven. Donald Trump has proven it. We should have proven it before Donald Trump. But we need to get out of NATO. Brussels needs to throw NATO into the sea. Let us plot a course to a non-aligned but never neutral Europe. A non-aligned but never neutral Europe. Offering to relax sanctions as a carrot and return to Russia its $300 billion of frozen assets. We should immediately commence negotiations with the Kremlin and with Beijing on a comprehensive strategic arrangement between Europe, Russia, and China, an arrangement within which Ukraine becomes, in the next 100 years, what Austria was during the Cold War. What was Austria during the Cold War? It was sovereign, it was neutral, democratic, and as integrated with the rest of Europe as its citizens needed and desired. That's what the plan for Ukraine should be. On green prosperity, we must fiercely oppose military Keynesianism. It is unsustainable. The only thing it can produce is poverty, debt, and more crisis, not to mention war. We must fiercely oppose military Keynesianism, and we must replace it with a massive green investment program that combines development with degrowth. On dignity, let us campaign for a new monetary commons that sidelines private banks, offers a trust fund for everyone, and guarantees a universal dividend, call it a universal basic income, to each. On the big thorny issue of migration, let us turn the accusation of us being soft on foreigners into a virtue. Let us shout it from the rooftops that Europe without mass migration will die, it will perish, it will not be viable. Let us proclaim that we want migrants, not out of solidarity, but out of self-interest. On combating techno-feudalism, let us sanction immediately the cloudless tech lords, not just Musk, but Jeff Bezos, Peter Thiel, Google. Let's restrict immediately the access to the European markets of Amazon, of Uber, of Airbnb. Instead of the Luxembourg, Ireland, Holland means by which they pay no tax, let us tax them to extinction. Let's impose Can't we create our own apps in this continent of ours? Why do we need them? Let us impose interoperability. That would really cut them off at the knees. Let's end the ban on companies like the Dutch company ASML to export tech to China. And above all else, let us develop our own socialized cloud capital, the stirrings of a magnificent future techno-socialism. On freedom, shall we dismantle totalitarianism now in each one of our countries? Shall we not benefit enormously from fighting for everyone's freedom to vote and for their vote to be counted? For the freedom of expression of our enemies as well, not just the people we agree with. Unlike J.D. Vance, who rightly spoke out in Munich, if you remember, a few weeks ago, against Europe's descent into censoriousness. He did say that. He was right. Except, of course, that he was a bloody hypocrite, because he would never defend Julian Assange's right to journalism or our right to freedom of speech in favor of Palestine. Speaking of Palestine and free speech, it is clear now, is it not, that what started in Gaza cannot stay in Gaza. Such brutality could not be contained within Gaza. To keep it from our media, from our cultural institutions, from the streets and the squares where we demonstrate, the powers that be had to dissolve basic civil liberties in Germany, in Holland, in France, in the United States. That's why our seventh campaign must be stop genocide, get the whole of Europe to boycott, divest and sanction Israel, the last apartheid state, in the same way that we sanctioned, divested and boycotted South Africa under apartheid. Friends, fellow travelers, comrades, we have much to do. The European dream is dead. Long live the dream that we are dreaming tonight together. Carpe diem. Thank you.
So brothers and sisters, you've watched the video and you've seen all these patterns becoming the same. The patterns are the same. And one thing that was so interesting is that people are realizing that the patterns are the same, and the people that are draining all these empires that were once great are the same people that people chose. But why do you think once a person enters into power, they misuse it or they use it to their advantage? Brothers and sisters, join me in this discussion. I'm going to be sharing people's opinion in regards to this. Why am I doing so? Because you understand that through sharing people's opinion, that's where you also get to understand other people's analysis in regards to this. So one-on-one, somebody said that the US and Europe are plutocracies, not democracies. The people get to select from candidates chosen by plutocrats. But there is no difference between the major parties. And that's true because this is something which always happens, and it has always been happening for the longest time. You think that you have an option. You don't have an option. The people that they are pushing towards you are the people that they have chosen. So it's upon you to choose from the people that they're already chosen before. So you get to understand how this works. Somebody is saying that regarding the tech proposal, we don't need another set of European copies of bad big techs, GAFAM. We should prefer something opposite: freedom and privacy and human rights, respecting libre, free, and open source software and hardware and technology. That will be the true opposite of closed totalitarian big tech and other techno-feudalism. So things like Wikipedia, Encyclopedia, Firefox Web, LibreOffice, Office Suite, GNU Linux operating system, micro processors, Mastodon social network, PeerTube. These are all video platforms that he shares. And you understand, because I talked about techno-feudalism and how the government uses, the government uses technology to surveil you, to see everything you're doing. This includes a microchip, how they control all the activities, right? You get to understand that we are getting to that point. And when you see all these things happening, it means that these are all the indicators that an empire is falling. Somebody saying that oligarchs always play both extremes against the middle while getting rich in meantime. That has always been the goal. It has always been you as the person who was chosen to serve the oligarchs, because the oligarchs are the ones who put him for you to choose them, right? Somebody also said that there's a comment that I'm looking at. Somebody said that, well, turn private savings into much needed investments. In the context of the European and Savings and Investments Union project discussion at the ECB, the EU, with the eyes of the population savings, is not yet clear whether it wants to confiscate them or attract them. So somebody's asking if can somebody comment on that, right? Somebody's also saying that I agree on the current view of the state of Europe. I totally disagree on the cause and the origin. Europe was designed to be like it is right now. Its main purpose is to maintain the political status quo and to advance in extraction of wealth from majority of the people towards the upper class. It was always corrupt as hell and had a fascist arts. The only fact that has evolved was the ways of maintaining the status quo. First, dialectically trying to convince population that starvation of the population class economy was the only way forward for the macroeconomy, and telling them that anyone proposing measures outside the liberal capitalists' schemes was a dangerous hating communist. Once that proved not enough, despite the absolute control of the media and the narrative, they just applied the old fascist recipes: violent repression, criminalization of any discrepant voice, and the choice of a super evil enemy. We know what comes next: World War III, and the end of human civilization as we know it today. It's crazy, really, really crazy. Somebody is saying that it is people like you that give me hope we can make the change that the world so desperately needs right now. I am originally from the UK, now in another right-wing conclave, Terra and NZ, and convinced that the world needs the counterbalance to the technocratic stronghold. Independent Europe founded on the ideas of social equity is pretty compelling. The vision of an independent Europe founded on the ideas of social equity is pretty compelling. The question is, how do we get this way of thinking about the world into the mainstream psyche? Right. Somebody's also saying that the sunshine future that Varoufakis outlined is very attractive and glorious to behold. His analysis omits one serious problem, however: the black aura at the heart of mankind. Without recognizing and confronting this, there will be a rosy future. Anybody up for a bit of psychoanalysis then? Yes, I'm trying to look at those important comments that I can really talk about. Now, somebody said that, do we really need mass migration? As a Belgian, I really feel like we are currently saturated in our capacity to welcome foreigners. Specifically, Muslims form their own parallel community within our nation, and it creates a lot of friction, especially in an economic climate that is kind for the common people. It makes cultural tensions bigger than they really are. Perhaps if our economy was doing better, the different cultures would live in less fear, that survival mode, and will make mass migration more realistic. Also, perhaps if the economic circumstances weren't so dire, the native people will be more inclined to have children, which will also reduce the need for more foreign workers. Isn't there a way to limit migration to preserve social cohesion, fill some of the job shortages, but also focus, invest in, and adapt to a population decline? Why is it that it is okay for societies to keep growing but not downsizing? I live in Flanders, and I would love it there if there were significantly less people here. Sometimes it really feels cramped. I'm looking for the last comment. Now, somebody is saying that real power is unelected. Politicians change, but the power structures does not. The network operates behind the scenes for its own benefit, without ever consulting those who are affected by its decisions. The power structure isn't loyal to communism or socialism or fascism or capitalism. The network is happy to exploit the rhetoric of any movement or ideology, prop up any dictator or tyrant, and support any economic or political model, provided it serves their one overarching aim, the aim to bring all the habitable portions of the world under their control, is as old as the lust of power itself. The death and the suffering that their policies have already caused in pursuit of this aim are incalculable. Allowing them to continue as they have will only bring more of the same. There is no lie that these men will not tell. There is no crime that they will not commit. The only measure of right and wrong, in their view, is whether their tactics succeeded or failed. Perhaps most unsettling, quietly reveal that real power operates behind the scenes, in secrecy, and with little to fear from so-called democratic elections. In quotes, he proves that conspiracies, secret societies, and small powerful networks of individuals are not only real, they are extremely effective at creating or destroying entire nations and shaping the world as a whole. We learn that representative government is, at best, carefully managed con game. Tragedy and Hope 101, The Illusion of Justice, Freedom, and Democracy, Joseph 15. So, that's how it is. So let me know what you think about this video. I'm your host and presenter, Tech Stories. But until then, I'm going to be seeing you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.